I recently called in sick and I lied about it. Can I get fired? So the first factor that we will look into is the calling in sick related to a disability. Any calling in sick doesn't necessarily mean that someone has a disability that needs to be accommodated. It could be an absence issue. It could be lack of motivation that gets someone to call in sick without proper documentation that they are in fact sick. So just because you call in sick doesn't mean that you have a disability or that you're protected from being terminated. Now, if calling in sick is related to a disability, then an employer cannot and should not fire this employee without proper investigation first being done and proper accommodation being done properly to avoid these disruptions of the business. And I understand that a lot of employers feel sometimes that their hands are bound because employees call in sick often and they don't want to risk rocking the boat and they don't want to risk getting sued. So they just then avoid terminating an employee. And they sincerely think that this employee does not have a disability sometimes, and they're just lying about it. So any incident of lying could actually culminate in just cause termination. So if an employee lies about being sick and takes time off, provided they don't actually have a disability, which is tricky to find, then sometimes an employer may be justified to terminate for cause. Lying, just like fraud or theft, is an action that leads to a breakdown in a relationship between the employer and the employee. So it's always best not to lie to your employer and to be honest about what you need. And if it is related to a disability, then let them know. And that will require the employer to give you a functional abilities form so that you can ask for the proper accommodation that you would need to be able to do your job successfully. So lying is bad, especially at the workplace. And if you do it, then you may be terminated for cause. So you should be careful if you're an employer not to terminate employees for any sick day that may actually be related to a disability. But if you think that this is an issue of not being truthful by the employee, then this employee is not protected by the Human Rights Code because they may not have a disability actually.